Hello, Earth Angels, both here in our Zoom temple room and on Instagram live. Welcome to our live recording of episode 53 of the Devotional Drip. If you're catching this on the replay, please say hello. Let us know you're here. Sometimes folks watch episodes of the Drip like 2 years later, so we always love to see your comments and say hello. And if you're tuning in live today, let me know, say hello, let us know where you're tuning in from. Maybe a word that holds the essence of how you're feeling today. Like, what do you want to put on the altar? If it's more than a word, feel free to drop in. It's so special when I get to do these live recordings and we get to connect across time and space. I'm so excited for today's episode. So a little temple keeping, a little housekeeping. If you've never joined us for the Devotional Drip before, the Devotional Drip is our free spiritual and somatic coaching series focused on personal transformation, professional development, trauma-informed spiritual awakening, higher self-realization, and all of the juicy stuff that we do here at Blood, Bone, and Honey for creatives, leaders, visionaries, light workers, artists, entrepreneurs, and mystical, intuitive, game-changing, consciousness-shifting witches like you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. In this coven, we believe that life is a mystery school. Class is always in session. You are fully human and fully divine, fully animal and fully angel. You are your higher self, and you're here to be the bridge between all parts of you so that you can be multidimensionally expressed across the altars of your personal and professional life. If we have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Sarah. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, witch, photographer, filmmaker, performance artist, dancer, burlesque dancer, coach, consultant, and higher self embodiment doula, here to support you in caring for yourself in a way that hits the soul level spot through practices and portals that invite you into higher self connection, exploration, and embodiment. And we are very multi-passionate here in this coven. Let me know if you relate. At the time this is being recorded, I am currently running some massive, juicy spring sales on our classic and beloved through the years Blood, Bone, and Honey coaching sessions, private mentorship programs, and photo packages for spring and summer booking, with higher self readings starting at $77 and photo rituals starting at $333. We also have our special session promo for the spring now open for booking. This is called the Emergence Session. This is an 80-minute session for $88. We love an angel number. That includes seasonal strategy and planning across the altars of your personal and professional life. So this is self-care, relationships, business, etc. Card spreads, a card spread, a psychic reading, and intuitive trauma-informed guidance and coaching around whatever is coming up for you at this time, as well as support tools, resources to support you in processing and digesting and getting clear on what's alive inside of you. And then you also get a replay and a homework email where I share resources and tools with you. And I actually just got a lovely message from one of my beloved clients and dear ones this morning. And she was just like, I love all of the resources that you send in the homework email. It's so good. So not only do we have the session, but there's also these follow-up invitations to support you in integrating whatever comes up on session. Because on session, we also do a custom channeled meditation that really functions as an energy attunement. And if any of my dear ones are here in the chat who have done this work with me before, feel free to tune in with some words about how that experience was for you. The channeled, intuitive, guided meditations and visualizations and higher self journeys and energy attunements on sessions recently, I mean always, but especially recently, have been blowing my mind and heart open, and have just been sitting there with my clients like, whoa, it's so cool we get to be witches together in this way, and we're together just having all of the awakenings. So if you'd like to claim these specials and promos, you can visit bloodboneandhoney.com. Check the links in the description of this video if you're watching the replay, or visit the links in my IG bio if you're catching this on IG Live. The waitlist is also open for my signature group coaching program and course, Nourish Like a Goddess. If you'd like to be the first to receive info on our next round, send me a DM or an email to sarah@bloodboneandhoney.com. All right, last little bit of housekeeping. If you are on YouTube, if you're watching the replay, if you find this video supportive, please like and comment with your biggest takeaways, revelations, and subscribe to the Blood, Bone, and Honey YouTube channel so you never miss a drip. And if you'd like to join in for the conversation following this drip, you should consider joining us in the Blood, Bone, and Honey Pot membership. At $5 a month, you get access to our private Discord, and you will also get access to, that's so funny. In this moment, our Coven astrologer, Megan, like literally the moment I said the Blood, Bone, and Honey Pot membership, she started calling me. This is just how psychic we are, y'all. We're just like pinging each other right and left these days. Are you feeling the thinning of the veil? We'll talk about that today. So Megan is our Coven astrologer in the Blood, Bone, and Honey Pot membership. In addition to getting a corresponding higher self meditation that goes along with this drip, which we're going to record on Zoom afterwards. So if you're in the membership, you're welcome to join us there. Megan has also been offering weekly, like every single week, embodied astrology updates to the basics tier, which again is the $5 tier. We have tiers going up to $77 a month. We've got our basics tier, our blood tier, our bone tier, our honey tier for you to explore all of our offerings inside of. But at that $5 tier, you're really getting a lot of nectar. So don't sleep on it. Check it out. I so look forward to Megan's embodied astrology updates every week. I feel like it is my time and space to tend to the temple, do the dishes, hear about what's going on this week, and really just create a sacred space to work with the energy of the astrology versus it like doming us. And a lot of messages on social media that really come forward around like having fear about the astrology. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm a Capricorn, but I love a Mercury retrograde. Like, I personally feel like I get so much done during a Mercury retrograde. It's the opportunity to return to that which was not communicated. And I don't know about you, but as a multi-passionate artist and channel and oracle and entrepreneur, I've always got some more shit to say. So I feel like it provides me with an opportunity to return to projects or transmissions or ideas or conversations that may have not gotten lost along the way, but maybe the threads went out into the multiverse. And during retrogrades, we have an opportunity to really work with those threads and weave them into a cohesive new pattern. Speaking of new patterns, let's do a little energetic repatterning before we get too deep into this transmission. I feel like I always get so excited when I hop on and we're temple keeping and we're housekeeping. So before we pull all the cards, before we go into one of my favorite transmissions ever, the Creatrix Codes of Metamorphosis, I want to drop us into a little invocation, a little meditation. So if you're in a place where you can close your eyes and tune into your breath, maybe lay down on mommy earth, or maybe you are doing your dishes and you just want to ground into your legs, anchor into your feet, feel the weight of your pelvis and your pelvic floor dropping down as your spine floats up towards the crown of the head. Maybe you're driving. Please don't close your eyes. Be where you need to be and receive this transmission in any way that feels nourishing for you. If you can close your eyes, I'm going to invite you to do that and just begin by inhaling through both nostrils, filling up your belly and heart with breath, and then exhale, letting the bones have weight, arriving into presence with yourself through the breath. Inhaling, filling up, receiving resource, receiving new potential energy. Exhale, anchoring all of your quantum selfness into this now moment. Inhaling again, maybe letting the ribs expand like the wings of a butterfly. And then exhaling, gathering your wings towards your spine, gathering your energy, and allowing yourself to settle. And then just give yourself a few more breaths like this. If you'd like, you can visualize a diamond light at the center of Mother Earth. And on your next inhale, like you're sipping this energy up through the 2 straws of your legs or all 8 of your toes, drink this energy in through the feet, up the legs, into the base of the spine. And then let this energy, this diamond light earth energy, move up the spine to the crown of the head. And then maybe you just allow the crown of the head to soften, letting this diamond light radiate out of the crown. Perhaps you start to feel into the 8th chakra, which resonates above the crown of the head. This is known as the soul star chakra, the higher self chakra. And so maybe you just let that diamond light shine into that space, opening up a deeper capacity to be in communication with your higher self through today's transmission. And then on your next exhale, if you'd like, you can now imagine that all of this beautiful, radiant diamond light is crowning you and moving through the bones of the face, both hemispheres of the brain, maybe the eyes relaxing, the teeth relaxing, the tongue releasing, and then through the open sky and portal of the throat, this light dripping down into the heart, surrounding the heart, giving it a bird bath, and then pouring out into the arms and the palms of the hands. Maybe you see this light resonating in both palms of your hands. Huge manifestation points in our hands, clearing the hands of any energy that don't feel in alignment with your creatrix capacity. Like maybe there's getting like some resistance in your finger wands, letting the light open that up. What can you open your palms to? Maybe there's something you've been striving for that actually just wants to fall into the palms of your hands. That's what I'm getting, like unclenching the hands. And the fingers are actually connected through meridian points to the heart. So as you breathe into the hands and soften the fingers, you might notice that the heart starts to soften too, bringing you into a state of receptivity. It's not that the divine doesn't hear our prayers. A lot of times it's about trusting the divine timing and then getting in a state of receptivity, which is quite the feat these days. And we'll talk about that today. So breathing and anchoring, claiming receptivity through your breath, the sensuality of receptivity. And then let that breath, let that light travel down through the spine, anointing the ribs with diamond light. Maybe again, feeling those butterfly wings, those angel wings, those dragon wings, whatever resonates for you. Getting a little bath as you let the kidneys slide down the back, the organs releasing any gripping, any holding, letting the organs have a watery weight. And then all of the bones of the rib cage, all of the bones of the pelvis, getting saturated with light. And I'm getting really let this light move through the intestines. Let it snake through the intestines, maybe seeing the intestines as a snake. Breath supporting us in not only our ability to digest food, but our ability to digest our lives. So letting this breath support you at the physiological level of your digestion. And then how is this breath supporting maybe some emotional digestion? We talk a lot about on the drip, about emotion being energy in motion. So maybe this breath, maybe this light is opening something up here in your physical and energetic digestive tract. And then let this light continue to move down through the base of the pelvic floor, maybe bringing your attention to the perineum, the pubic bone. taking a breath there and just letting your mind take a break at the base of your spine. Like, can you let your brain drip all the way down? Can you let the light? Can you let the spinal fluid? Can you let the information move down? Grounding is one of the most important parts of working with the energy of metamorphosis. And then that light's now going to move through the legs, breathing into the legs, breathing into the feet, releasing the weight of the legs, like tree trunks anchoring into the earth. And then if you'd like, you can see roots extending from the bottoms of your feet all the way back down into that diamond heart, that diamond light of Mother Earth. And then just let yourself hang out there for a moment. What does it feel like to bring your consciousness that deeply into your body and then plug it into the planet? And then maybe seeing if Mommy Earth has any messages for you here. Breathe and just give them time to arrive. Our process of transformation cannot be rushed. Neither can our process of receiving psychic downloads. And then I'm just going to offer us a self-love spell that came through on the last episode of the Devotional Drip. So feel free to hang out here in Mommy Earth consciousness and just receive this. If you'd like to repeat after me, you're also welcome to speak this out loud or speak it into your own being. I'll leave some space between each line. I call myself back from all time and space, across lifetimes, dimensions, and the multiverse, to take residence in the temple space of my heart now. Take a deep belly breath and heart breath. And on the exhale, see all of your energy gathering to your spine, like a bonfire of selves meeting around your heart, all of you with you. It is safe to be all of me. My purpose is to let love transform me into more of my true nature. I am here to be the bridge between heaven and earth within me, so I can be that in the world. And then in this moment, see your physical DNA and sense what the DNA of your soul would look like. Now I'm going to invite you to see a rainbow bridge of light. And as you inhale and exhale, see your human DNA and your soul DNA merging in rainbow light. I belong to myself. I belong to Source. I belong to the earth. I am my own first. I am my own first. I am my own first. I was born worthy. I am worthy. I invite the light of my higher self to pour in now and fill me toes to soul. Take a breath and see yourself as a chalice being filled with light. I'm going to now invite you to work with a honey golden light. This symbolizes and represents our higher self connection. And you can see this moving through your central channel, which is known as the Sushumna Nadi channel, the higher self channel. And as you breathe into this river of light within you, here's the next part of our spell. Any energy in my field that is not mine and isn't here to serve my highest good is going back to the heart of Source at this time. I surround myself in a circle of light and the energy of love. Let this golden light shine out from your central column, from your spine, and surround you in all directions. My higher self and Source light is now filling me, pouring out of me, protecting me, and guiding me. And then see this light in the north, east, south, west, above, below, within, and without, so that I may move, live, breathe, act, heal, grow, and learn from love. And so it is. May it be so. It is done. It is done. It is done. As you breathe into this, let your bones be drawn down towards the earth like magnets. Feeling the physical weight of your body as you simultaneously hold your light, which a daily recipe for higher self embodiment. And as you'd like, you can return to this space. Maybe you'd like to bring your hands to your body, offering some touch to support the process of grounding. Maybe now you feel like you want to lay down or sit down. Trust that. You can also palm the eyes with the hands. That can be a nice little reprieve for the front brain, especially if you've been feeling overstimulated in your brain, if you've been in a state of overthinking, if the front brain is feeling really hot. A little eye palm can be so nice, even just for like 3 breaths. So let yourself arrive into the space as you'd like. And we're going to move into our transmission. So if you'd like to grab a journal, some cards, some sacred herbs to burn, anything that supports you in being present, you're welcome to do so at this time. And please feel free to tune into the chat. Let me know. How can I serve you today? What did that bring up for you? What do you need? Do you have a question? Can I pull a card for you? Say hello. Okay, here's the tea. Let's start out with bravery, because to embody your higher self in the first place is so brave. And that bravery does not come without humble vulnerability. To be like, look, divine mother, look, goddess, look, angels, look, trees, look, animals, look, Gaia, I'll be a vessel. Fine, fine, fine. Speak through me, move through me. To say, to agree to that energy speaking through us, moving through us, and then letting it move through us, that's miraculous. That's a prophet, that's a channel, that's an oracle, that's a mystic, that's you. If it wasn't you, you wouldn't be listening to this. That's how the drip works. That's also how the mystery school works. Transmissions like this are sent to us when we're ready to receive them. I know that from receiving transmissions in the mystery school. So to consent to the energy of spirit moving through you, to reshape your life, takes a whole lot of bravery, and that is the foundation of embodying the Creatrix archetype. That is the texture of surrender required in order for metamorphosis to actually take place at the next depth that our soul is hungry for, at that high priestess willing to go to the underworld to retrieve themselves type of devotion, where you're just like down for however the divine is going to reshape your heart, reshape your being, and reshape your life and your relationships. Because you've given up your ego's agenda, all the things that you were programmed to believe you need to be, do, or have. And when you embody that energy of the Creatrix, that archetypal energy available to all of us as an aspect of our higher self-expression, when we do that and we let ourselves ask, who would the divine, my higher self, my wise and well-heeled ancestors, the earth, Gaia, who would they have me be? When you let yourself ask that question, the pathway that's not only like revealed to you in that moment, but over time, your willingness to engage with the mystery is what actually hits the soul level spot. We don't actually want to know what's going to happen next, which is challenging for those of us who are survivors of trauma, which is all of us, and especially survivors of complex trauma, which is an intense amount of trauma that either happened all at once or over an extended period of time repeatedly. Like, it is so much to ask to let go of needing to know what's going to happen. But that's where the mystery and the mother wants to come in to cradle you and say, it's okay to be scared. It totally makes sense. But there's a reason why engaging with the mystery is a spiritual practice, is a healing practice. And it's a practice, right? It's something that we become more familiar with over time. Over time, that fear in having faith and trusting the unknown, the darkness of the chrysalis, the darkness of the womb starts to become more familiar through our willingness to engage with it, through our willingness to fall down, to develop the tonality and the spiritual musculature to uphold faith within us. Like, it really is some like soul push-ups, right? To like touch faith, to hold faith, to move from faith. And in my experience of being a survivor of complex trauma, it can also be the healing that we're looking for, that actually doesn't exist inside of pathology, that actually doesn't exist in the breaking it all apart. Like, we don't have to dissect the wound to acknowledge that it's there. We can actually just like recognize it and start to apply the healing bombs. A theme that I've been noticing that's been coming up for myself, my clients, community members, peers, teachers, just like a general theme, is the programming of perfectionism coming into our healing work, coming into our self-care. And so I'm just hearing to like be mindful of that, to notice that, not only in our day-to-day practice, but also in this drip and in any of this that I offer. We're going to get into a little spirit math. I'm going to give you some codes. Any texture of perfectionism is welcome to be a part of the alchemy, but it's not the consciousness that we're leading from anymore. And we're not holding ourselves against this like fake healed version of ourselves. To sense into who is my higher self now inviting me to express as, is not to then create some archetype to beat ourselves up with. That's self-sabotage, that's self-abuse, and I know it well, and it's all good. We all do it. We're just gonna be aware of when it starts happening, that like that's not what we're talking about. We're not holding a version of ourselves against ourselves. Also, past versions of ourselves. We're not comparing the now version of ourselves to that version and saying, oh, what a hot mess. We're saying, wow, what an ecstatic being in progress who was really doing their best with what they had. Because that really is always the truth. We're always just doing our best with what we've got. So as we get into the specific code of today's episode, Resurrecting the Creatrix, I want to just investigate this word resurrect. What does that bring up for you? What does that immediately draw you to? Does that feel relevant for you? Oh, me and little me ugly sobbing right now. I've been ugly sobbing a lot. It's felt so good. Just like the snot and the birthing fluids and just like everything everywhere all at once. Yes, 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 yes. Bless your sweet, precious heart and soul. I love you so. So resurrection kind of feels like sobbing, kind of feels like grief. The internet says that resurrect is a verb, and it means to restore a dead person to life, to revive or revitalize something that is inactive, disused, or forgotten. From the perspective of the Creatrix, everything. We're resurrecting everything. We're resurrecting all selves, resurrecting everything that can be used as nutrient-dense material for our metamorphosis and emergence. The Creatrix knows that death, the devolve, the disintegration, the journey to the underworld within us, the let go, the falling apart, the falling away, is all a part of the potential energy that fuels the rebirth, the transformation, the metamorphosis, and the emergence. You are a fertile vessel, ripe for creating and birthing selves, businesses, books, relationships, babies, whatever you desire. When we work with the energy of the Creatrix, we recognize that power in order to really start working with it at a next level. Like, what does it mean to have the universe inside of us? Like, no womb required. We all just have this divine feminine Christ consciousness, this intelligence inside of us. We are these like little microcosmic maps of the universe, and we all have our own blueprints. Sometimes that feels like a burden. But when we're in the perspective of the Creatrix, we get excited. We get excited about what's now here for us to work with. We resurrect the wounding that may have been covered up with the Band-Aid, with the latex that we're actually allergic to. And again, we don't dissect, but we just like air it out. We're like, whoa, all of this stuff is just material for my ascension. The resurrection is the ascension. The holding the wounds in love is the healing process. And I was hearing Pam Gregory, one of my favorite astrologers ever, on YouTube, her transmission about the solar eclipse next week. She was saying something about our soul blueprint and the wounds that are inevitable in our birth chart, something about some Chiron transit, blah, blah, join the blood bone and honeypot for Megan's astro updates on that. But she was talking about Chiron as the wounded healer, and all of these different transits we're moving through, and how the wounds might be coming up big time at this time, and how the wounds also are a part of our cosmic blueprint in some way. Like, we can see and connect the map of our trauma to our cosmic blueprint and use our astrology to help us work with those wounds as the medicine. And it's kind of like the way that the snake venom can be poison, but that same venom can also be used as the medicine to heal the initial bite. That is divine feminine Christ consciousness. That is resurrection. That is life, death, and rebirth. That is the mystery. That is the spiral. That is the entire journey of the major arcana in the tarot. That's the entire journey of Aries all the way back to Aquarius. It is the circle. It is the cycle. It is the unbreakable, infinite connection of all that is. So take what resonates, leave the rest, but we're in that cyclical spiralic consciousness of all of it is material to be used. It doesn't mean that it needed to happen or should have happened or shouldn't have happened. It just is. So as the Creatrix, what the fuck do we want to do with it? So when we work with the energy of the Creatrix, we recognize our sovereignty and our power to do a little something with it at a next level. And let's be honest, it's a daily practice of remembering ourselves as the beloved. We talked a lot about this in episode 52 of The Drip, remembering ourselves as children of source, as children of the cosmos. Like, what does it mean to not only have parents on planet Earth, and then to also have Gaia, planet Earth, as its own mother presence, and then have all the ascended masters and the goddesses and the archetypes as these other parental presences, these other mentors and guides in our lives, but then to also have the energy of the freaking universe, like, as our ultimate parent, the womb, the black hole that we came from. Like, come on. So we got to remember that, the remembering. the remembering ourselves as a part of our own team. And just to point to a little Yeshua transmission, because we are still in this Easter Ostara early spring sloppy portal, and we're talking about resurrection. A house divided against itself cannot stand. A house divided against itself cannot stand. A house divided against itself cannot stand. That's why Mary Magdalene taught about being the bridge between the humanity and our divinity. We need all of the parts. And the Creatrix is like so stoked for all of these parts. The Creatrix is even stoked about the ones within you that are super, super sad. And as a priestess who can touch bliss and also ecstatic fucking grief, I love to offer up that energy to my higher self and be like, Wolf Mother, higher self, will you lick her? And then Source Goddess, Divine Holy Mother, will you bathe her in your holy light, please? And the Creatrix is in their magical practice and claims they have the right to do all of that and more. The Creatrix recognizes, here's some mantras for your spell book, for your journal. Are you ready? Write it down in your phone notes, in your journal, wherever you want. Come back, watch the replay. The Creatrix recognizes, I am spirit, energy, and consciousness having a human experience. I am divine by design as an infinite expression of source. I am a sovereign being, and there is nothing, not a thing that I cannot do, be, or have. I am worthy of blessings, miracles, and divine support. The Creatrix loves the dance of change. They meet every block as a portal. They see through a lens of potential, alchemizing confirmation bias and outdated programs through higher self perspective and empowerment. The Creatrix has no qualms about being big or taking up space with their whole expression because they know themselves as the universe. The Creatrix knows they are here to be with life and death over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And those of you who resonate with the Creatrix archetype may have found yourselves around a lot of life and death. That's also not random. That was part of your mystery school training and will continue to be as long as you continue to consent. Or sometimes Holy Divine Mother will just dom you a little bit and bring you to that altar. And it's like, I didn't really want to be here at this death altar again. And it's like, all right, well, I guess this is the initiation, which is quite literally, like, I feel that so deeply in these first couple of weeks, even like the first 6 weeks of spring. It feels like we're simultaneously like at the portal of death and the portal of birth at the same time. And there's just a lot of things moving. The Creatrix is like, oh, this is my dance, baby. I love the spiral. And I talked to quite a few people today where the reoccurring theme coming up was like feeling like spiraling, like the energy of spiral. And what just kept hitting me, like deeply resonating with that, was like, wait, so like maybe the spring is supposed to feel like this. Like we've been talking about this of spring and the feralness of it and just like the buds having all this energy and like bursting open. And so as we're in all of that energy, like maybe the spiraling, like sort of that chaos energy, maybe it's just like the divine timing of what's supposed to be happening. And maybe it's just that, like that on top of capitalism, genocide, and all the things is like a lot to hold, which is like super fucking valid. But to be like, wait, it's actually not the spiral that's a problem. It's actually not like it being a blizzard one day and sunny the next day that's a problem. Like this is just the season change. What does feel heavy is all the other stuff happening in the collective. So if we don't make the spiral a problem, then we can work with that spiral, work with that energy of change so that the other things don't spiral us out as much. Sometimes it's just about like, especially in nervous system work. Sometimes it's just about bringing it down one dial. And that can change everything for us. Like just going from a 10 to a 9. And so if any part of this drip helps you do that, like go from like a level 10 anxiety to a 9 or even a 7, then we have done our work here today. And that's all we can all ever do as healers, as guides, as mentors, as artists, as people who are showing up with a village mindset, deeply wanting to care for our beloveds from the way that Source loves us, like learning to love each other as Source loves us, through accepting the love of Source, through accepting the grace of Source, through letting that consciousness move through us and loving ourselves that way so that we can love each other that way. And then practicing loving each other that way so that it's easier to love ourselves that way. It's that infinity again. It's that non-hierarchical, like it's not this then that, it's this and that. We're going to be all up in the end in the Creatrix codes, the end and the both, the end and the both. Maybe death isn't so fast all the time. Maybe readings keep having death coming up and I'm like, where and when and what? And I'm wondering, maybe it's slowly been there in the background and it's just when I'm finally seeing it emerge. Yes, yes. I also feel that during retrogrades, sometimes our higher self brings us back to similar altars that we've been at before and we've received a certain level of information from, but now we've been reshaped into the version of ourselves that can receive that at its next depth. It's giving layer peeling, it's giving unveiling, it's giving like what is available to see now, because my orientation and perspective has shifted. Okay, let's get into these Creatrix codes. To be a Creatrix is to know that whatever you're experiencing in a moment is every single time an invitation to experience more of your unlimited, undiluted sovereign power and potential so that more of you can emerge. Here's the formula. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Could be a good time for a notebook. Could be a good time for a little writing in your notes on your phone. The Creatrix codes of Metamorphosis are a higher self-embodiment tool you can apply when transformation, change, up-level, ascension, awakening, timeline hopping, quantum magic, manifestation, all of these energies are happening at a next level. As we've been discussing here, yeah, like this unveiling, this next level arrival, this next level understanding. Another technology of the mystery school is like, you know, it's like we think we get these teachings, and then it's like the simplest teaching will give us a Kundalini awakening 3 years later. What a miracle. I love that. That makes me so excited every time. I love to return to the same teaching. I don't love to return to the same lesson. But what I love about returning to the same lesson and the same altar is that similar teachings that were present before, I'm now able to understand more deeply. And again, the understanding, the learning, the growth is what our soul is hungry for. The love, the healing, the connection, the ascension, all of that is the benefit. But the point is the transformation and the growth. That is why your soul came here. So the Creatrix codes as a formula is, the Creatrix code as a formula is recognize and alchemize in order to emerge. So if you're taking notes, you can write down recognize plus alchemize equals emerge. This was a transmission that I received in 2021 or 2021. There's many devotional drip episodes about this. You could go back in the archive and see other episodes that we did. Last year, I did a 3-part series and I broke down each code into an episode. And what I want to say about this code now is that I want you to receive this in your higher self-intelligence. So as you write down, recognize, alchemize, and emerge, like what immediately starts coming up for you on a spirit math level? This is that mystery school math. How do you, in your intelligence, in your intuition, in your brilliance, start to relate to that code? I'm going to give you what I've received from it. But again, I really am interested in what you're receiving. So please feel free to tune into the chat. If you're watching the replay, let me know in the description. I love to receive love notes and DMs. I just went through so many DMs today. So you may have a response from me that was long awaited. And that's just sometimes how it goes in Instagram DM land. If you ever want to get in contact with me ASAP, Sarah with an H at bloodboneandhoney.com, or join us in the membership. That is the best way to reach me. So we are recognizing and alchemizing to emerge. We are recognizing what is ending and what is beginning. There's the death, birth, portal, mouth, both. Kali mom, just like seeing her like spreading her legs wide open, tongue out, just like orgasmic birth. We recognize what is ending and what is beginning as nutrient-dense material for our metamorphosis, for our chrysalis, so that we can do our alchemy in the chrysalis slop. That's the resurrection. That's all the material. That's the compost. That's the no emotions are bad emotions. It's just energy in motion. And it doesn't even, the low vibrational, high vibrational thing, like, we can talk about that when it comes to manifestation, but I just really feel like there is a lot of misunderstanding around that. So I try to really stay away from that language. Like, yes, emotions, energy and motion does resonate at different frequencies. That doesn't mean if you're a sad witch like me, that holding a lot of grief in your body is going to attract a lot of low vibrational things to you. But it may attract other people who hold grief, who you can like do a little like grief investigation with. And chances are, if you're here in this coven, like, you know a little something about grief. You know a little something about grief. And you also know that it's the medicine, it's the opening, it's what softens us, it's what awakens us to deeper levels of our sensuality and also our bliss, because on the other end of ecstatic feeling, on the other end of the grief is the bliss. And if we really want to touch the bliss, then we really got to touch the grief. So if you've already touched the grief, good news, bliss is on its way. And because of your grief, you may actually be able to inhabit and sit with bliss, like that childlike ecstasy, in a way that's so intimate because of your intimacy with grief. I love that. I don't know if I've ever said that on the drip or ever, but I feel that so deeply. That feels so deeply true. A little Aries season, I am right through the throat and heart chakra. Okay, we've got some questions here coming through. Okay, wait. Let me, before I go there, because I can tell that these are juicy. Let me just finish this little Creatrix codes moment. So we're recognizing, we're alchemizing, and we're emerging. We're recognizing what is ending and what is beginning as nutrient-dense material for our metamorphosis, so that we can do our alchemy, which means to transform. Alchemy, in its most classic sense, is transforming a base metal to gold. So this could be a sticky feeling to something that's a little more open and spacious. This could be something that's going on in our life that feels like it's this blocked monster demon energy that we actually alchemize into an angelic initiation into our higher self embodiment. We're going to talk more about alchemy as we go on, but alchemy itself is the process of transforming something from its original state into a completely new state. And I love that this base metal to gold invitation is there for us, because in my experience of transforming grief, of transforming trauma, like, it literally can feel like transforming like the most like just rocky rock into the sparkliest crystal ever. I love that those were just there for us. We'll just leave those there for Instagram Live. So we do this alchemy, we do all this so that we can emerge more multidimensionally and higher self-expressed. When we shift our energetic imprint, made up of our thoughts, our stories, our beliefs, and our identities, we shift the timeline. That's the alchemy. When we shift our energetic imprint made up of our thoughts, stories, beliefs, and identities, we shift the timeline. The butterfly is the only species that completely changes its genetic structure to devolve, evolve, and then emerge anew. The crystallized state and what emerges from it mirrors back to us that metamorphosis is a cellular restructuring on every level of our being. Let it be that big. If you're doing work at the energetic level, the pre-manifest, the energetic, the quantum is what exists to inform the physical. So if we shift the texture of our thought, that's a vibration, that vibration literally imprints on a neural pathway level. That's that spirit science. That's so yummy. And it's why we go deeply somatic and also like to the farthest reaches of spirituality in this space, because we are all of it. What do you think it means to be fully human and fully divine? We got to know what's happening at the mind, body, nervous system, neural pathway level. And then we also get to claim what's happening on the energetic, quantum, magical level. So we're letting it be that big. We're letting the sovereign power of you as a creatrix with the ability to change state be that big. And maybe even just like let that baptize your consciousness. Like, oh, I get to just like be the creatrix. When you see yourself as that, sense yourself as that, claim your right and your power to do alchemy in this now moment. Like right now, you could shift your thought and that's doing alchemy. Like, how does that feel? Does that feel empowering? Does it put you in touch with your sovereignty? So breaking down these codes a little more, and then I will get into these juicy little messages in the chat. I'm so excited. So keep dropping in. Caterpillar to chrysalis. Let's break it down archetypally. We're recognizing that which is ready to end and what is beginning. Honoring how everything has served as nutrient-dense material for our caterpillar journey and evolution thus far. And my experience is, especially as I'm writing a whole 3-act show or rehearsing a whole 3-act show that I just wrote with my dear friend about RAPE culture. And I'm revisiting a lot of my thesis work I made when I was at Duke, which was all about RAPE culture. And I'm censoring myself because I'm just so sick of my content getting shadow banned. So please know when I'm doing that, it's not because I'm trying to like follow the rules. I just literally want this content to circulate. So I've been in that pool of making work about all of it for about 10 years now. And I'm revisiting a lot of original wounds, like some of the darkest, deepest stuff. And another pattern I've tracked is that for earth angels, psychics, mystics, leaders, like some gnarly shit's happened to us. And that's real unfortunate. And the Creatrix codes of metamorphosis support us in working with that as a tool for our empowerment. Because if we don't, then it just takes up space inside of us and it makes us sick, which is also unfortunate, but it's true. It is the somatic truth of trauma. And one of my teachers defines trauma, and I love this because I feel like it just gets really overcomplicated in the commodification of healing these days. But trauma is literally not just, but in this definition, it's just unprocessed experience in the mind, body, nervous system. It is unprocessed and it is undigested, which is why if you're just catching this part of the drip, you'll want to go back to the replay and catch our little opening invocation, because we breathed some diamond light through our intestines so that we could support ourselves in both physically and emotionally digesting what was alive for us. And that's a very real practice that we can do for ourselves that is deeply transformational. So check the replay for that. After this drip, I'm recording a higher self meditation, activation, and energy attunement for the Blood, Bone, and Honey Pot membership, where we'll go deeper into this. You can get that for $5 a month, plus I think there's 40 other activations in there now, plus our weekly embodied astrology updates. You know the tea. I talk about it all the time. If you don't, send me a message and I will give it to you. Okay, so from caterpillar to chrysalis, we got to recognize, we got to gather all the stuff as our twigs and all of our material. We got to weave our chrysalis. We got to choose the spot. We got to make it. We need all the stuff. We need all the stuff. We need to resurrect all of the things. Then in our goo, once we're in the chrysalis, in our goo to wing growth, we can alchemize the energy of the emotion attached to the ending and also the new beginning, so that we can create spaciousness for clarity and perspective around what we're now ready to grow. So the devolve into the chrysalis, the touching of the slop, the letting it be sloppy, the letting it be wild, the letting it be churning and spiralic and moving and life and death all at once, the allowing of the bigness, which is also just a huge theme coming through in all of my client sessions right now, is let yourself be big. You are big. It takes so much energy for a big energy soul to try to perform smallness, to censor themselves, to try to be anything other than you are in your ecstatic, sloppy, chrysalis wholeness. So in that alchemy process, we're in the slop, we're in it. There's no right or wrong or good or bad. It just is. We just are these organisms that are just having this experience. And a lot of us really do have an intention to do our best and do good. Yeah, there's a lot of broken, sad, confused, lost humans out there who are untethered from that source higher self connection, who are doing some gnarly shit. And I think that there are more people on planet Earth, and I'm just getting a full chill download from top of my crown to my toes, and just a heat wave, which is how I know spirit's moving through. There are more people on planet Earth right now who are interested in creating the new earth, in upholding a consciousness of love than destruction. I do believe that. I believe that gets disrupted by propaganda and mind control and programming. But I do believe that if we were to take every human heart on planet Earth and do a little energetic autopsy, that there is this desire to be in love, to move from love, to experience love. It's so important to remember that everyone has an inner child, every single person has a little baby human inside of them that could could have used a little more breast milk. and I don't know, maybe that's Christ consciousness. My teachers have shared with me, when we experience ourselves from that lens of compassion, when we hold our own wounding and really are with that, and we're with our shadow and we're with all the parts without making it wrong, that we are able to then hold and witness that in others from a more compassionate consciousness. And that just makes sense, right? We're only able to meet the world from where we are. And everyone is just meeting their life from where they are. So we can be a part of creating more separation consciousness, or we can be the midwives of consciousness that we are. We're going to get to New Earth consciousness in a minute, because I do have a little definition I want to share on that today. So we're recognizing what's ready to end. We're recognizing what's ready to begin. We're honoring how it served as nutrient-dense material in our mystery school journey, on our caterpillar journey and evolution thus far. We're making our chrysalis with it. Then we're inside the chrysalis, and we're alchemizing the energy, the emotion attached to the ending and the devolve of the chrysalis, as we create spaciousness for clarity and perspective around what we're now ready to grow and evolve and be. Another teacher of mine reminded me today that it's not just about what we're creating. It is about what we're creating, but first it's about us. Like, it's actually about us first. Goddess, source, energy cares about us. Us, just us. Like, that's the inherent worthiness. Like, we are just cared about. We are just cared about. Like, we are the point. What we create is an extension of us. We are the point. If we heal, if we touch more love, if we touch more bliss, if we do better than has been done onto us, we've fulfilled our divine purpose. What we get to do as earth angels is claim our destiny and see how willing we're to take that power. And we do all of this so that we can emerge with new wings and consciousness, ready to fly, receive, execute, and create at higher dimensional frequencies and realities within our day-to-day life. Each phase of the Creatrix codes of metamorphosis invites you to change both your perspective and state of being. The Creatrix is really experiencing themselves in their malleability. You have to devolve to evolve. And sometimes in the devolve, you don't know if you're going to make it out alive. But there is a sovereignty found and activated in that slop, in that devolve, in the moment of not knowing if you're going to make it through. Give me a fire something, a heart, if you can relate to that. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through. Like those moments where we weren't sure, or maybe you're having a moment like that. I kind of had a day like that yesterday. I was just like, really having a hard time activating my dopamine, and like it was one of those devolve days. But I'm like, of course, my higher self would have me touch that the day before I get on to do this transmission. Like, hello, how blessed am I? It's giving highly chosen, highly favored, highly blessed. See, that's that Creatrix perspective. It's a fun little game too. It's a fun little game to be creative with our consciousness. And I've been babysitting a lot recently too, and just hanging out with my little children fairy friends. And I'll notice too with them, like that, like the playfulness, the jokester energy, the like, not that we make it a joke to bypass or minimize, but to like bring in that energy of play, and like a little like can sometimes also help us move through the density, to not take it all so seriously. Not because it's not serious, but because one person can only hold so much. And that's like the transmission around, like, where are we holding ourselves to impossible and perfectionist standards in our healing and embodiment journey, and also in our activist journey, right? I know that comes up for me a lot. But in that space, so in that space where you're not sure if you're going to make it out, that's where the faith grows. Like in those moments where you got to quite literally call out to God, Goddess, source, energy, your higher self. It's almost like those forced moments of surrender. There's a spiritual technology to that of our faith growing. Like maybe we wouldn't have asked for the miracle, the blessing, the divine solution, the creative solution, the assistance, the blessing, the grace, the grace. Recently, I've been making plans and then just like giving it up. Like if I make a schedule or I write a thing, or I'm just like, this is going to happen. I just like, after that, I do a little prayer around like being like, Goddess, please reshape this in alignment with my highest good and the highest good of all involved. Because thank Goddess that our highest timelines are interwoven. Like what an incredible matrix of love that we are a part of. Like that could make me weep. Also, matrix has the word ma in it. So when we talk about the matrix, that's a conglomerate of energy. So that conglomerate of energy can have a film and a coding of program and energy put over it to distort it. But the matrix in its own sense, I'm almost seeing like a placenta and like all of the veininess and like interconnected communication systems, or like the mycelial networks. Like that's the matrix. The movie is not the matrix. But there is programming that is that takes advantage of our collective consciousness and how psychically and deeply connected and sensitive we all are. And so as creatrixes, we get to be discerning about what we receive from the matrix, what we receive from the field, what we allow into our chrysalis and temple space. Let's go back to faith. Your faith is the foundation of your healing practice, your alchemy practice, your magical practice. And it's the stuff that's going to fuel you on the highest density timeline of your purpose work. It's so brave to choose destiny and co-create with the mystery when all of us can also just choose fate. And to choose fate would be to just kind of let it play out. To be in your destiny timeline is to actively engage in that co-creative creatrix energy where you are quite literally shaping quantum reality, always in co-creation with your higher self, if you choose to do that. I mean, there's many other energies you could co-create with within you and around you, but it's always going to be the most powerful to go right back to the source. It's why even the demons are here to worship at our earth angel feet. They just want to worship us into our liberation. That's been coming up a lot on the drip. Like the low vibrational energy is here to worship us into our liberation. So, a little prompt moment, and then I'm going to check in with the chat. How do you identify with the creatrix, and how could you adopt the creatrix archetype and these codes and make them your own and apply them to your experience? What comes forward? I'm going to check in with the little IG live chat here. Oh, thank you for your message. You're so welcome. Yes, death and rebirth always are playing together. Yes. We had someone asking, what does it mean to alchemize? Let me know if you're still wanting some clarity. We'll go into some more alchemy transmission as we pull cards. Kate came in with a definition here. Alchemize, transform the nature of something. Yes. Thank you, Kate. Grief investigation. I feel it. Can you already know what will emerge with the process of transformation? Nice stones. Oh, thank you. I think as mystics and psychics, our great gift is that we can sense. We can sense what's unfolding. We can taste it. All of us have different psychic senses and ways of breathing into that. But another thing that's been coming forward recently too is like the purpose of the darkness, of the chrysalis, of the womb, like why the animal goes into the forest to birth in the darkness, the technology of the cave, and how like things are kept from us on our path, not only to protect us, but also to excite us. And so, yes, we can sense. And also, can we activate our faith in a way that humbles our human awareness and also calms and grounds our human awareness into the deep knowing, the root chakra knowing, the root chakra belonging, that we are being stewarded, we are being shepherded. I'm hearing Lindsay Scott's song, The Way. You don't have to know the way knows the way. If you've never listened to that song, would be a great little devotional dance party song following this drip. She says, y'all, I don't sing, but I'll try this for a little throat chakra opening. She says, we'll pull a card while we do it. All of us getting activated in our vulnerability. I can't like talk about vulnerability and then not be vulnerable. That would be hypocritical. All right, Lindsay Scott, she says, you don't have to know the way knows the way. You don't have to find the way, trust the way, feel The way knows, the way knows the way. You don't have to know the way knows the way. And sometimes your voice is going to crack when you go into new dimensions and territories of what's unfamiliar. And like, can we be precious in our vulnerability? Can we hold ourselves in our preciousness and the newness of things? Again, like the holding ourselves to the perfectionist standard just like sucks the fun and the joy and the play out of everything. It's like things that we love become a burden. And that is also trauma, because the interconnection between trauma and perfectionism, like having to show up in a certain way so that you didn't like literally potentially get killed, like anything from like that level of trauma to like assault, like that's some real shit. That's some real shit. And I know that my perfectionist programming arrived from just like quite literally trying to protect myself from not dying. So the vulnerability gets to be playful and it gets to be tender. We've got like 8 cards here coming through about Earth. We've got Earth pulsing, and a new Earth. The next thing on my notes, these are cards I just pulled while my voice cracked and my throat opened and I sang that song. We have new Earth is a consciousness. And then I literally just pulled a new Earth. It's happening. Keep holding the vision. New Earth is a consciousness. New Earth leaders are asking, how can we create outside of systems that have already been put in place? Chances are, Earth Angel, you're already doing this and or being prompted to do this at a next level. And where are you being called to be brave, like on a spiritual level around that? Every time I hop on the drip, y'all, this is episode 53. I still sweat every time. I'm still like, every time. And there's such an innocence in that. There's a devotion in that. And there's a technology of that vulnerability. This moment on the planet is the dig deep, it's the crack open, it's the rock bottom to ground the fuck down and receive the light from Mother Earth herself, who is also a goddess, a divine feminine ascended master creatrix, who is going through her own ascension process. You may have heard about the Earth grid changing, speeding up. As it does, so do we, because we are Earth, fully human, fully divine, fully animal, fully angel. I will just never stop saying it. And we, as her children, and also as children of Source, are receiving upgrades at this time. I've got 3 prompts for us to work with together. I'm going to pull some cards around it. I'm also going to invite you to pull cards if you want to pull cards. No need to, but if you want to be in this little space together, we can totally do that. Before I do that, I realized that I didn't get to all of the comments. Oh my God, Rebecca, you look hot. Thank you, Queen. I changed my outfit like 5 times. It was that energy today. So thank you. I really was feeling like I needed the like witchy sleeves, you know? I also have my snake earrings. The venom is the medicine. And I've got my skull necklace on, which I've been wearing nonstop since my friend gifted this to me in August of last year. And this is actually my partner's, my husband Max's, Nana's chain. So we've got Nana, we've got Death, we've got Inanna, we've got the snake, we've got the codes happening. Love is so good. Love is so good. Hey, Jasper. Hey, Earth Angel. I always struggle with activating dopamine. Same. Yeah, that's why I pray. That's why I practice magic. That's why I became a somatic practitioner. That's why I studied trauma. That's why all of the things, because I was just unwilling to accept that I was going to be stuck with like a clinical depressive, anxious diagnosis pathology for the rest of my life. I was like, no, actually just like a lot of really intense shit happened to me, and we get to be alchemists and climb out of the hole. And as my dear beloved Kate would say, who just shared a beautiful definition of alchemy in the comments, don't put me in your box. Fuck your boxes. Fuck your boxes. look out for a transmission coming from Kate soon, where she will be sharing all about how we can do that. So excited for what you're creating, Kate. We got the rich witch, Des Davis saying period. Oh my goodness. Hello, beloveds. All right, here's our prompts. For this year of the Creatrix Codes of Metamorphosis, we're keeping it real simple. We're keeping it real simple. If you go back to past episodes of the drip on the Creatrix codes, there was like a trillion prompts. But as the drip has continued, and now that we're episode 53 in, and mark my witchy ass words, this will be a podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts by the end of this year. It's become more of a channel transmission that like hasn't really wanted a bunch of cards. I did pull a bunch of cards when I was like initially getting the codes for this episode, and I was going to use those, and then I actually put them back in my decks and I reshuffled. So the only cards that we have out right now for this episode are our Resurrection card, and then a couple of the cards here that I'll go into, and then the ones that we're about to pull for these 3 prompts. Well, actually there's 4 prompts, but like 3 little categories. So get the spell books out, get the journals out, write it in your notes. You can also tune back in for the replay if you would like to work with the drip that way and just receive this time around and then come back for the prompts when you're ready. For recognize, the first part of our Creatrix code, recognize 2 prompts. What is ending and what is beginning? What is ending and what is beginning? So if you'd like to shuffle, 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 pull yourself some cards for that. Before I pull any more cards, I'm just going to point to the ones that we have here. I showed you the New Earth card. We talked about New Earth being a consciousness. We talked about being midwives of consciousness and how that's connected to the Creatrix archetype. We also have Earth pulsing, pulse of the mother, slow down, time in nature. We had our dear Fern giving us a transmission around the slowness of death in the comments here on Instagram Live. I just thought that was so wise. Just this remembering that decomposition, like if you ever have had a compost pile or a compost bin, like it takes time and it does turn to soil that we can grow new things from. But just because we're out of the death of winter doesn't mean that there's not still things dying and rebirthing. And I actually really feel like, especially for Aries season, especially with this cardinal energy, especially at the beginning of the astrological new year, like it takes me at least between Aries and Cancer season to like get my bearings and be like, what's happening? And I really feel like once we get to July, once we get to Cancer, like there's this anointing and this washing away, and we're home in ourselves so that then in Leo season, we can really be in like, who am I in our expression? But we start that inquiry around our identity in the fetal newborn baby consciousness of Aries. And the intelligence of all of that. That's not to say that like, oh, newborn baby consciousness. It's like, no, newborn babies are freaking shamans. And they are like totally in touch with the spirit realm. They're still arriving. And so, Pisces really does have that like straddling the world energy. It's said that it's the sign the most connected to the ancestors and spirituality, yada, yada. But also, like Aries is the postpartum. It is like the tender, mushy, gushy, things are still being reshaped. The milk is still arriving. The placenta is still being birthed moment. So we can take our time. Even when it feels like things are moving fast around us, we can be the calm in the center of the storm. We can touch the ground. And maybe the flowers and the earth seems like it's growing faster than us. But perhaps if we shift our perspective, we realize that the earth is here to guide us, but we're all on our own timeline and in our own process. And sometimes it takes 3 years to alchemize something. Sometimes it takes 10 years. Sometimes it takes 15. Sometimes it takes 3 minutes. So can we be open to our divine timing? What a necessary ingredient when we're working with the Creatrix codes of metamorphosis. Then we also have Earth here, learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. This is also giving that Yeshua transmission of a house divided against itself cannot stand. And you'll see this like little being is like in their little light orb. I'm hearing even the simplest practices can be the most profound and impactful in the quantum field. So if we're applying the Creatrix codes of metamorphosis to like a single now moment, it's like, all right, I'm recognizing the thing that's coming up. I'm recognizing all these feelings are alchemy, are here for me to do my alchemy with. And then I'm going to emerge on the other side of this. I'm changing the perspective. It could be that quick. You could also sit down with these codes and be with these codes and really suss them out and work through something in your life that's feeling like it wants to move and transform. You could also take these codes and apply it across the altars of your life and to your own personal transformation journey at large from that sort of like bird's eye view perspective and see how it maps, recognizing all that you've lived through and survived up until this point, how it was here to be a part of your reshaping descension and ascension process, because we can't have the ascension, we can't have the resurrection without the descension and death. And then how all of that was here to support you in your emergence, how all of the demons were here to lick all your toes as you slurp up that crystalline diamond light from Mommy Earth. It's so hot to be an alchemist, like really. I love to make all of it just like really hot and really sensual. It really helps me get through my self-care work. I don't know about you, but that's always the texture here in the Blood, Bone, and Honey Coven. So what is ending? What is beginning? Last card here, before we pull some cards specifically for these prompts, we've got the blue flame, spontaneous awakening, activation, and integration time, if you needed any affirmation. Also, this blue color always reminds me of transformation. I think it's because there's that really like powerful butterfly that's all blue. I forget the name of it. If you know in the comments, let me know. It's escaping me at this moment, but it's like a coveted butterfly. It's a spiritual symbol. So that color always just brings up like, massive transformation and awakening. So we are held within this transmission. Let's pull some cards specifically for the Earth Angels here live and on the replay. What is ending for y'all? What's ending for us? What's ending? Which deck do we want to do first? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decks here, all cleared and ready. What is ending? Let's go to the Earth deck first, since there's just like so much Earth energy here. My beloved darling Serena, if you're watching this live or on the replay, gifted me this deck many moons ago, and it is like forever one of my favorite decks to work with. What is ending for this collective of Earth Angels at this time that would benefit them in bringing their awareness to recognize so that they can do their alchemy with it? We have consciousness, and we have wreath. This is giving what is beginning. So I'm hearing there are stories and programs and ways of self-identifying that are now just going to start to fall away for you. There is a time and a place for growth and really being with all of it in a specific way. And then there's also the approach of complete spiritual surrender, where you recognize there's so much you're healing within yourself and within your lineage that it's going to take a God level, higher self level force of grace moving through you to transform that which is ready to end. I'm getting like, let it end on your behalf. Let source energy move through your life and cut cords of consciousness, cut cords and ways of relating energetically in relationship that are keeping you from recognizing all of your giftedness. Like the wreath card points to your giftedness, the gifts that want to come through for you, the gifts that you have been blessed with at a soul level, and the gifts that want to be activated within you. If you want to embody more of your giftedness, claim more of your giftedness, live from more of your giftedness, there is a very clear ending that has to happen around, I'm hearing self-gaslighting yourself out of your gifts. The wondering and the questioning if you're there yet, if you're ready yet, you are. I'm hearing you are. I'm hearing it's go time. And not from a place of urgency. Like I'm feeling like the energy of God being like, but don't let the human misinterpret that as rushing. It's just a green light. It's just a green light. How do you want to work with green light energy? What stories are you upholding within you that make green light energy overwhelming? Replace that with a recognition of how that green light wouldn't be there in your life, that invitation wouldn't be there in your life if you weren't ready to fucking ride. So recognize how the divine is trying to literally give you like a wipe, like a root. I'm seeing like your root system being cleared. I'm seeing God churning your soil. Like recognize how that's wanting to happen for you. Recognize the stories that are ready to go, that are disrupting specifically the green light energy. And recognize your giftedness. Recognize that the moment that you call out for that divine energy to move through you and move through your life, it does. Also, in direct response to your receptivity. Look at the receptivity of this little being. Their eyes are closed, they're breathing, their little crown chakra's open. It's really also pointing to the upper chakras here, which is interesting because we worked with that 8th chakra when we hopped on the drip. So recognize where you're not letting the blessings drip in. Like, are you cutting yourself off at a crown level from the downloads that want to come through? And why? I'm hearing, let yourself wear the crown. Look at this like cool tree crown. I also think this happens when we're being invited to recognize ourselves in our higher self knowing, like at the crown chakra level, knowing ourselves as connected, as gifted, identifying as that, using the energy of Aries season, which brings us into our identity, brings us into the I am, to really own and know that receiving downloads, divine solution, grace, blessings is our right. The Creatrix isn't just making it happen by their will and how willing they're, like how hard they're willing to work. I'm getting like recognize that there's a whole hell of a lot of support that wants to come through for you. So what's ending is the overworking and the proving and the striving for the downloads. It's like I'm seeing, I forget which card this is in the tarot, but it's like this person is like crying and like looking at a thing and working on something, but then behind them is like a bunch of pentacles and like a rainbow, which is where in the Creatrix codes of metamorphosis, our perspective and reorienting our perspective, seeing from the Creatrix, seeing from our higher self becomes the beginning the base metal that we do our alchemy with. So that's what's ending. Gaslighting ourselves out of our giftedness, like we're not psychic and we can't do like boop, boop, boop in our brain and third eyes and call each other, because we most certainly can. We most certainly can. What is beginning? What is beginning for these earth angels? What do they need to recognize is beginning so that they can really just claim the giftedness, claim the higher self-knowing, claim the grace, claim the divine solutions, claim all that wants to come through for them, claim the new stories. What is freaking beginning? I'm getting excited about this one. Ooh, interesting. Okay. I'm going to show YouTube first. Gratitude for your authentic expression. Gratitude for your authentic expression. And everything that is here to invite you into your authentic expression. I'm hearing and feeling especially the stuff that pisses you off. Like, recognize what's been grinding your gears. That blocked sticky energy is currently your portal to more of your authentic expression. Growth is not comfortable. I'm feeling like you saying some edgy things, you setting boundaries, you taking the sword out of yourself and using it to slice through something. Not in a violent way, but in a sovereign, discerning way. It's like utilizing your Creatrix energy and power for that which feels like a holy hell yes. No more lukewarm mediocre. And gratitude. We've been saying this whole episode, demons licking your toes. Gratitude for the demons licking your toes. Gratitude for the frustration, the resistance, the stuff that is a part of the initiation. If it was always comfortable, then there wouldn't be as much motivation to create a shift and change, right? So that's where, when we have gratitude for it, we can shift into that creatrix perspective. Oh, I'm here to create with this blocked energy and this resistance. Oh, this is not the universe being against me. This is actually my portal in the mystery school. This is actually what I've been praying for. Oh my goddess, here it is. I knew it wasn't going to be comfortable, but damn, this is next level, which is why what's also beginning as you step into more of your authentic expression, which every single one of my clients in a session in the last week has said something about that specifically. I feel that so deeply within myself. This is just like what's on the altar for the earth angels. It comes up in Aries season. It comes up at the beginning of the astrological new year. And it's this moment specifically on the planet. What is beginning is we have the male principle, a step towards reconciling with the masculine is before you, and the spirit of water. Return to the source of the feminine for purification. It's like a very interesting dichotomy here. There's so many things immediately coming forward. I just got like 8 things show up in front of me. Okay, we've talked about this on the drip before. We're moving out of a phallocentric way of relating to ourselves, our healing journey, the world, and our life. It's not up and down. It's not hierarchy anymore. We're moving, and we've talked about the spiral today too in this episode, we're moving more into that spiralic consciousness. The masculine principle, the masculine energy is the seed. Everything fucking else is the feminine. Isn't it interesting, though, that we've been programmed into the exact opposite way of thinking? Oh, the feminine's just here to offer the seed, and then the masculine sky daddy makes everything happen. No. What is beginning is a mass collective consciousness awakening around how that spiritual truth was inverted, which is often done to confuse people. Because if we're confused and the teaching is inverted, then we're not focusing on embodying our sovereignty. We're focused on understanding a teaching that makes no fucking sense and a world that makes no sense. Corporate America makes no sense. Hierarchy makes no sense. Our government makes no sense. So we're recognizing that there's this holding of the male principle of having the seed inside of us, of having the capacity to have the creation energy, and then also the spirit of water, the feminine principle, the ability to plant it. We can do that within us. We can do that around us, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen linearly. It doesn't happen hierarchically. The gardener is no less important than the person who is selling the food from the person who is eating the food. Like, everyone is serving a function. Every part needs to be honored. But we are specifically moving out of a time on planet Earth where feminine energy, feminine consciousness, women, queer folks, anyone who doesn't fit this male standard of power, like even if you're a woman or a queer person showing up in a position of power and you're not embodying the patriarchal, oppressive masculine, as it has been, you would have been, and I've certainly experienced this in corporate America in my own professional journey, there's an expectation you will show up in that energy, and when you don't, there is a strong disrespect and distrust. There is a distrust of no rules, village consciousness, the circle, the spiral, and non-hierarchical ways of being. Order does not mean bottom to top or top to bottom. It means water. It means like each molecule holding its own bit of information in the ocean. It's each of us being a drop in the ocean. And in our male principle, we can hold that down for ourselves. We can be protective of that. We can protect our own feminine energy and current. And this is separate from gender. These are principles. In the male principle, we can hold the consciousness of seed, ground, stable, container. In the feminine principle, within that container, because we're touching the ground, because the seed is present, then we have all the stuff to uptake the seed, to fly from the anchor. So this way of thinking, this consciousness, this divine feminine Christ consciousness, if we were just going to label it something, is awakening within us. And divine feminine Christ consciousness recognizes that masculine energy, divine masculine energy in the male principle is a part of the cycle, but it is not the beginning of the cycle. It is not the end of the cycle. It is not the reason or the season for the cycle. It is a part of it. And if anything, the feminine principle is actually the consciousness that is taking up, that is the ocean. That is the ocean. And the penis is a biological extension of the clitoris, and the balls are a biological extension of the labia. So need we go farther than real science? So that's what's beginning. this new way of approaching ourselves and our lives, that we are all of it. That I've got my own divine masculine daddy inside of me who's protecting and holding it down for my divine feminine priestess, or whatever way you want to relate to those consciousnesses. Ultimately, it's a new way of approaching ourselves and the world that's beginning. And there is spontaneous awakening happening around this. Like when I was teaching on this shit 5 years ago, people were like, higher self, what? You do what? What's a doula? And it's so exciting that now I appear a little less crazy. Maybe. I don't think so. I think I'm just getting crazier. But all of us here, like if you're on the drip, like we all live 5 years in the future, and these are the same projections that you receive. And I'm not even sorry about it. I just relate. And I think that it's all of our initiations to be the midwives of consciousness that we're here to be. And if divine feminine Christ consciousness does not resonate, call it Buddha consciousness, call it higher self consciousness, call it new earth consciousness, call it whatever you want. But we're just like no longer centering the penis, you know, like metaphorically and literally. Okay, I think that's enough for recognize. Let's go on to alchemize. What can I give my higher self attention to support my alchemy and metamorphosis? So feel free to write it down. What can I give my higher self attention to support my alchemy and metamorphosis? Cosmic Dancer. Sometimes I'm just in the mood to pull from all the decks. What can I give my higher self attention to support my alchemy and metamorphosis? Devote. Holding it up on the screen so we can see it because the lights are going dim here in my temple space. Stretch and expand. And honor the cycles. Oh, and now we're out of focus. Oh, on the screen. There we go. These 3 cards came out initially when I was first channeling for this episode as well. I want to start with honoring the cycles. So since we're talking about being midwives of consciousness and our awareness being baptized and purified by the consciousness that's activating the earth, the consciousness that's activating us, this cycle that we're in on planet Earth right now is huge. We are at the end and beginning of new indigenous prophecies that have been recorded on the planet for ever and ever and ever. Namaste. This moment is unique. And also, what I'm hearing is that the earth has been through cycles like this before, and you may even have been on this planet or other planets where cycles like this have occurred, where there was an imbalance, and then you were brought here to support restoring the balance. How are you here to restore the balance? And is that not alchemy? Alchemy is about transformation, but transformation for what? To create balance, which is what? Harmony, peace. The purpose is always peace. The purpose is always peace. And as we meet this cycle, and as we, as dear Jasper says, my birthright and future as a healer, as we give our higher self attention to that, there is this stretching, there is this expansion, there is this to the edges that we're brought to. Like, we are brought to our edges of our comfort, of what we even thought was possible. And then the technology of devotion comes in. Like, it really feels like this, like I'm holding my breath. Then the technology of devotion comes in to remind us that, oh yeah, I agreed to this push-up. Should have had a V8. Like, right. I have an Akashic record library full of information about how to navigate times like these. I am a starseed. I have the universe within me. I am here to become more of my higher self and a future healer and leader. Maybe you're already healing and leading now. I know that's true for Jasper. Shout out to Jasper Star 222 on IG and TikTok. One of my literal favorite people to receive readings and transmissions with, like, Jasper, honestly, like, I am like in love with you. Like, I love you so much. Like, I just think that you are brilliant. So it's really exciting that you're here. Yeah, like, we've been here before. We know what's up. We've been on other planets doing this healing work. We know the stretching and expanding is a part of it. So then in the alchemy process, we have to give our attention to our devotion. Like, a daily devotion of whatever it is that we need to do to, like, take care of the animal and the angel. Like, we are the healer and also the ones being healed. That is so big to hold. That requires some stretching in what? In freaking consciousness, that we have all of the cosmos inside of us, also the divine masculine and the divine feminine principle, and we're here to restore balance within us and around us. We better activate that technology of devotion and let it turn us on. That's where I say you gotta let it be schmexy. Like, you gotta let the healing journey get sensual. You gotta bring in the adornment. You gotta God a little, you know, like in the self-pleasure practice, call in that light, be with that light, let that light move through you. Sensuality, as I continue to censor myself in these hilarious ways so that the algorithm doesn't ban me, is like the true fabric and nature of everything. Like, that life force energy is everything. It is the Shiva Shakti explosion. It is the divine masculine and divine feminine principle, but let us not forget that the original consciousness is the womb. It's all of it. So what can I give my higher self attention to support my alchemy and metamorphosis? Get turned on by the sacred technology of devotion. I'm so excited to let that lead our next few episodes and the next, like, little drippings of content, because I love to talk about devotion. And, like, the way that, like, it doesn't have to feel good when we're doing it. Like, that to me is the most freeing part. Like, it's not always like, of course we can feel good. Of course, like, pleasure is our birthright, but also, like, devotion, like, we don't have to feel good to show up for the devotion, to show up for the morning prayer practice, to do the freaking dishes, to take my dog on this rainy ass walk outside after I get off this drip and record a meditation for the membership. Like, the devotion then lets the thing that felt gnarly, the block, the stuckness, all that stuff we were talking about in recognition, it, like, it makes it not only more possible to meet, but maybe then there's even a little excitement. Maybe then there's even a little excitement that starts to churn because Magdalene Deck is calling. Excitement and anxiety resonate super freaking closely in the body. Y'all, we've got Universal Christ. We've got transformation. We've got war and peace, and we've got ascension. Like, hello, thank you for calling forward all the codes that we've been with. Look at this card, this transformation card. Like, yeah, it's gold, it's lit. You can see the gold there, but you can also see the base metal, the darkness, all of this potential. And as we claim that the like divine feminine Christ consciousness lives inside of us, it's like activating this inner mother that we all have access to, again, regardless of gender. I hate genders so much. Like, we're all of it. We're all of it. Stop trying to tell people who they are. It makes me crazy. I was actually having a little gender dysphoria myself when getting ready today, because I was like, wait, do I want to like get like high femme, or do I want to like, I've been wearing a lot of like little like collared shirts with like sweaters, and it's just been like feeling so fun to play in that arena. And then I was actually thinking about that as getting ready. I was like, I wonder if I'm gonna like bring that up on the drip. That's like pretty vulnerable, and like, you know, whatever. I've been going through my own queer awakening the last couple years, and it's just so relieving to me to be like, we are all of it. We get to be all of it, and we get to change. Transformation also says we get to change moment to moment and breath to breath. We can show up in one energy one day and another energy the other day. And that's not a threat, it's a gift. And anyone outside of us that's receiving that as a threat is getting triggered by their own self-censorship and lack of self-expression. Your expression is triggering in them that they actually want to be more expressed and they're not, so it makes them angry at you. Our work is to embody the divine feminine Christ consciousness, the universal Christ consciousness at this great time of war. And know that as we bring our minds and our hearts and our spirits and our bodies and our nervous systems into coherence with the truth of our higher self, with the truth of being divine children of source, when we bring it into a coherent state, when we bring all those parts of us into the coherence of love, and we dismantle and divest from a war consciousness within us, that imprints into the collective field, and we do it for the planet. And sometimes, like, our activism work isn't even seen. I'm a bitch who's like really seen a lot and like makes myself be seen. And the most potent parts of my activism and my healing work are never even seen. Like maybe by one person, or maybe if I share it, but like if I'm really feeling into it, and I like fully identify as an activist, like that is a huge part of my identity. But a lot of that work is quiet. Not to say that it has to be, but just to validate, like in addition to the way that you're seen in that, seen as a healer, seen in your alchemy, seen in your activism, there's also all of this work that you're doing behind the scenes in your own heart that's as big of a deal. Because anything upheld in the collective field outside of us is a mirror onto what we are upholding. Each of us within us in various ways. So as we're alchemizing, we are recognizing that this is a time of great ascension, of consciousness shifting, of awakening. Our awakening cannot be separated from the awakening of the collective. And as we resurrect our creatrix, our capacity to birth worlds of form within and around us, we can really get some shit done. Not only through the action of our spell, but also through our very real co-creation in the quantum field in every moment. Like what a task, what a responsibility, and what a gift that we get to do that we get to like play with the marionette strings of reality. Like that to me is the most exciting thing about manifestation, not if like the thing that I wanted to manifest specifically comes through or not, but like what happens in the process of the manifestation. If vibration precedes manifestation, then we can have an intention. We can have that seed, that masculine principle, but then the leaning in to the divine feminine consciousness balance is letting it unfold like birth does. You can have a birth plan, you can have a doula, you can have all the things, but like in the moment of the birth, you don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how many episodes of The Drip I've said this on, but like sometimes a birthing person shits on the floor because there's stuff that has to move when they're birthing. So as you're birthing yourself and all these things, if you shit on the floor and it gets messy, it's okay. May we not hold ourselves to false perfectionist programming in our awakening journey, in our ascension journey. No, no, no. We're not doing that to the newborn baby consciousness inside of us that we're all holding at the beginning of this Aries season. I'm looking right directly into Mother Mary's eyes. I have like a little votive on my desk that I got from Mexico. Hand carved by wood. Hello. And she's just like, no, we're just like not doing that. And that's why it's so important to claim the divine feminine Christ consciousness, because it is the mother consciousness that releases us from dimensions of hell that we're upholding within us and around us. Tare tutare ture soha. Green Tara says, yes, realms of hell do exist, just like realms of heaven. We explore that all of the time inside of us and around us. But as a creatrix, she says, you can choose what you're upholding. You can choose what you're feeding. You can choose what you're growing. You can choose how to transform it. When I read that teaching for the first time, it was in the Sophia Code in Green Tara's chapter, which I've just fucking highly recommend the Sophia Code until Kingdom Come and beyond. I literally read Om Tari Tutari Ture Soha and like this whole transmission about that for the first time. And I was on a call with one of my mentors at the time. And I literally had to like, we were on a Zoom call and I had to like turn my video off so I could like ecstatically weep, sob, snot everywhere, and just like had this like full Kundalini awakening of like, oh my goddess, like everything I've sensed around this ability to like create worlds of form through vibration and through thought and through like what I allow the temple space of my mind to swim around in, like all of what I sensed is actually real and possible. Like not only is God real, not only is magic real, but my sovereign right and birthright to interact with that is also real and deeply powerful and transformational. And like, I feel like I just keep going through those awakenings of like how real the presence of God is in my life and in all things all the time, separate from all religious dogma, separate from all ways that we're told like we need, or all the things we're told we need to do to access it. You can just close your eyes and access it and have your own relationship to it, because like you're God, you know, like. And as we reconcile with this masculine principle, this patriarchal consciousness that has been dominating planet Earth, specifically also for the last couple thousand years, of course, there's going to be a baptism and a reorientation needed around how we are here to birth not only the new earth, but the ancient future. Because operating from the spiral consciousness is the most ancient way of being. Earth mother religions, goddess-based religions, and worship preceded every single last fucking goddamn religion and doctrine that centers God as Father. And we can just like keep going off on that. You should join my group mentorship and upcoming course, Nourish Like a Goddess, for more on that, because we're going to get real academic with it. Like, this is one of my favorite things to talk about: the rise of the state, the rise of patriarchy, the rise of capitalism, how they're all connected, how rape culture feeds into it. It's just really good. We're going to really go there. But for now, I think this episode of The Drip just wants us to be aware of our participation in it and what it means to really divest But more importantly, because we're always divesting. I mean, I don't know about you, but I am always divesting from all of the things that I am divesting from, including neural pathways within my own mind temple that bring me to dimensions and realms of hell. But more importantly, what are we investing in? Because if we're in that creatrix archetype, we're in that energy, then we're in the energy of creation. And if we're focused upon what it is that we're creating, the divestation is just going to be a natural response to that investment, creation, energy. So even as things are dying and falling away, even as we're healing, and especially in our healing journey, may we focus more on that which is being created. More energy into the creation, more energy into the birth. And then the death just happens. The death is like so much about just accepting it, being with it. I think a lot of my acceptance around death just quite literally came from death doula work and like watching people die and like helping their energy move through their chakra system as they left their animal. Like death has a look and a smell and a sound, and it's so visceral and it's so animal and it's so human, and it's also so divine. Like death and birth is happening all the time in the cosmos. So before we go on to our last question, I'm just going to check the comments here because I just saw so much popping off. It was making me really excited. Love you, Queen. Love you too. My God, to see your beautiful glowing face again. I love how the universe always brings me back to you when I need your words and energy the most. That's so sweet. I love that we're quantumly connected. Yes. Thank you for the hearts, Caroline. Caroline, I left you a voice note today and then it didn't go through. Mercury retrograde. I have to resend it. Hearts, hearts. You are awesome. You are awesome. Yes. Love these cards. Yes, I must say awesome cards. Yes, yes, yes. That's so powerful. Powerful, positive vibes. Yes, yes. Manifestation works. All. Yes, yes. Okay, yes. Thank you for your comments. They really energize and excite me. All right, let me just gather this little pile here. We're going to go on to our last prompt. Emerge. How is my higher self initiating me into more of my authentic expression and embodiment? And check it out. We literally pulled the authenticity card. So it's just interwoven affirmations all around. How is my higher self initiating me into more of my authentic expression and embodiment? Since we talked all that shit about the divine feminine, let's pull a divine feminine archetype, shall we? This is Megan Watterson's deck, the Divine Feminine Oracle. She is an amazing feminist theologian, and I love her teachings and transmissions. Yes! How is my higher self initiating me into more of my authentic expression and embodiment? Parvati, baby, the goddess of devotion. I am a love that doesn't leave. When I commit to love, my soul evolves. And we literally also just pulled the devotion card as like what we're here to focus on in our alchemy. God, I'm a love that doesn't leave. Like to be that way with ourselves, to be able to go to the dimensions of hell inside of us, which also is necessary, right? Let me get my little focus back on my camera. Like sometimes we got to go. Anana had to go. She had to go into the underworld. She had to retrieve her twin sister self. She had to reunite with her shadow. Like hell in the underworld was necessary. And what Parvati is saying is even in that process of the devolve, like the love endures, the love stays. It doesn't leave us. And I think in those moments, especially where we feel like God has abandoned us, which is like such a raw, real human wound feel. To come out of that dimension of hell and re-anchor into, no. Source is a love that doesn't leave, and so am I. And I'm going to be with myself like that in the devolve. Again, it's like not being perfectionists with our healing. When we notice the thing, when we recognize what's coming up to be alchemized, don't you dare use these Creatrix codes to beat yourself up with. When you recognize what's coming up to be alchemized, the consciousness through which the recognition is happening needs to be a consciousness of love, or it's giving self-abuse. That's where we claim the higher self perspective. Can I radically see myself and this experience in this moment through a lens of unconditional divine love? Can I just let myself have that? And to devote to something is not to always want to do it. It's to do it regardless of wanting to do it. It's to do it regardless of if you think you're doing it right or wrong, or it's working or not working. You're just like, okay, like I recognize this is a moment to do some alchemy. I recognize I'm going to like claim my higher self perspective and my creatrix perspective around this. I don't want to meet this block as a portal right now, but fuck, I'm going to do it. 'Cause like, that's how the growth happens. Growth happens through love. You can't shame someone into real, actual, true, sustainable growth. That's why shame doesn't work when, like, as a mechanism to create any kind of change. It just doesn't within ourselves or with other people. So we're being activated into each of us, our goddess of devotion. And it feels like, since we're working with the archetype of the creatrix, it's like, can we let the creatrix archetype within us just be the goddess of devotion within us? Through devotion. So we're just going to talk a whole hell of a lot about devotion, I guess, here in the Blood, Bone, and Honey Mystery School, the next couple of weeks. That seems like the main medicine on the altar. I'm annoyed that this video is not focusing still. Hello, coming into focus. We're probably just like changing dimensions and realms here on this screen. Hello. It's okay. We're almost at the end. I just want like one more piece of clarity around our devotion here. We got devotion, we have authentic expression, we have consciousness upgrades. How can we move with this? Did you see that? It literally just like peeled off the end. All right, let's do these three together. These also all came forward when I was first pulling for the strip. Okay, tap into primal power. Maybe this will help our focus. Tap into primal power. Check out this bee. Clear the vessel. And notice the patterns. So that you can come back to center. Look at you in your little chrysalis and do your alchemy work. Oh my God. And literally under that is be authentic. I just love Magick so much. I just love Magick so much. So as we're working with the energy of our devotion, with the technology of devotion, we're going to do it authentically our way, from our power, from our centers. As we notice the patterns and consciousness coming up, we're going to quite literally let this sparkly diamond light of source clear those pathways. And the whole time, we're going to let ourselves make a whole bunch of mistakes. This was like our resounding card. I think this came forward on the first episode of the drip we did this year. Like, this year is about making mistakes. It's about experimenting. It's about Like we're not gonna be able to touch our true authentic wing expression if we don't let ourselves get in the mess, in the play, all hands in every single paint tone and texture on the palette. Alchemy is messy. Art is ecstatic. Birth is ecstatic. Death is ecstatic. It's all happening all at once. So our devotion becomes this central pillar as everything is unfolding around us. In our devotion, we are recognizing, we are alchemizing, and we are emerging. We are also to reseed our Creatrix mantras. The Creatrix recognizes, I am spirit, energy, and consciousness having a human experience. I am divine by design as an infinite expression of source. I am a sovereign being, and there is nothing I cannot do, be, or have. I am worthy of blessings, miracles, and divine support. The Creatrix loves the dance of change. The Creatrix meets every block as a portal. The Creatrix sees through the lens of potential, alchemizing confirmation bias and outdated programs through higher self perspective and empowerment. The Creatrix has no qualms about being big or taking up space with their whole expression because they know themselves as the universe. The Creatrix knows that they are here to be with life and death over and over again. The Creatrix is divine timing and creative solution oriented. The Creatrix moves the way love tells them to move. And with that, I'm going to bid you adieu for episode 53 of the Devotional Drip, a nice juicy one to get us back into the spring swing. And if you'd like to check out our spring specials and promos, I'm going to link them in the description of this replay that will be going up on YouTube and going out to the newsletter. If you're joining us on Instagram Live, you can also check the link in my bio. And as always, it is such an honor to be here with you. I'm going to say goodbye on Instagram first. I love you. And I'm going to bid you adieu, my darling, radiant earth angels who made it all the way to the end of this transmission. What a marathon. We did it. Let me know how this resonated. Let me know what it opened up for you. And let me know what you'd like to see on future episodes of The Drip. Until next time, namaste.